Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be doing a review of the new Team of the Week that has just recently come out. There's a lot of good cards in this Team of the Week. There's a lot to work with. I'm going to tell you guys which players would be worth trying out, which ones would be good, and which ones would be bad to use in a team meta-wise. But some of these players look like a lot of fun to use. So we're going to start off here with Arnautovic's card. Arnautovic has the type of card that would be a lot of fun to use. Now, on the ball, his dribbling is going to feel a bit heavy at times because he does have 78 agility with 61 balance, which isn't great to have when you're 6'3". But other than that, his stats in general are very good. He actually looks like the type of card that would perform pretty decently in a team, considering, he has the weak foot, he has the skill moves, his short passing is 86 and his long passing is 80, which is quite decent. His passing in general, with the curving and all that stuff too, is also very good. 84 finishing with 83 composure is quite nice too, with the 90 shot power. So finishing wise, he's going to be somewhat consistent. It's not the high 90s, but he still will be somewhat consistent in a team. 82 acceleration with 85 sprint speed, is quite nice to have as well. So definitely worth trying out the card. Would I actually use him as a left wing? Not necessarily. If the card was actually a cam, a center mid, a CDM, then it would be worth trying out a little bit more. But because it is a left wing card, left wings you always need fast strikers, unless you're going to be using Arnautovic as a cam or a center mid when you start off the team in a certain way, then it would make sense for you to get Arnautovic. But other than that, not really worth getting because of the agility and balance in my opinion, but worth trying out for the fun factor. Next player we have here is Gareth Bale. So the Gareth Bale one is a pretty big improvement. Now, again, agility and balance with Gareth Bale is very noticeable, but he has other stats to make up for it, especially within the pace aspect, right? Because Arnautovic is not fast enough for that balance and agility to not be such a big nuisance, essentially, right? This Gareth Bale card has great finishing in 91, great long shots and shot power in 95 and 94 together. 87 composure, which is great to have in a team. His strength is very good. He's a big guy in game. Now, he does lack in the weak foot because his weak foot is 3-star instead of it being 4-star. But the 3-star weak foot is not terrible to have with Gareth Bale because his finishing is quite nice, especially since the reason, or the biggest reason why you'd be paying for the 91 version of the card is for the center forward version of the card. So that way you can use them as a cam, striker, center mid, whatever you want to use them in. If you want to use them as a center mid and you want to put, Jordi Alba and Sergio Ramos in the same team with Ronaldo as a left wing or whatever, and you want to use Gareth Bale as a center mid, you could do that, right? So the card looks fantastic. If you wanted to actually use him as a center mid, I would suggest getting the left back Bale and starting him off as a left mid or as a left back. And then if you want to use him as a left center mid, you would do that switch in game. So that way you would have like actual good defensive stats, whereas his attacking style cards don't have the defensive stats. So just be very mindful of those few things. James Rodriguez. The biggest problem with James Rodriguez in previous cards, and it still looks like kind of the same with the card nowadays, is the stamina being 72, which can present to be a problem, but it's not the type of card where he's unusable, because 72 is still very usable. His finishing is very good. On the ball, he's not too bad because he doesn't have the balance, but 5'10 isn't terrible, but he does have the agility, and his dribbling stats in general are very nice. His finishing is very good with the shot power and the composure that he has, with 84 finishing, 89 shot power, and 90 composure. His acceleration and sprint speed is pretty poor, so dribbling-wise, you will notice that he won't be that good at it, even though his base card stats does suggest that he does get 86 dribbling. His passing obviously is going to be amazing with 90 passing. You can see his actual specific stats. Each altogether would be fantastic to have. He's got great curve, great short passes, great long passes, free kicks are very good, and so on and so forth. 74 strength isn't bad to have for a player who is 5'10 and somewhat stockish in game. He's not like too stockish, but it's still a fun card to use. I'm pretty sure his long shots would be a really, really nice to use, especially since you would probably put him as a left center mid in your team because he's left-footed. 89 shot power with 94 long shots doesn't sound too bad. Next up, we have Lin Guards. So Lin Guard is a big improvement as well. And the reason why Lin Guards a big improvement is because the last time we've seen a center mid card or any center mid variation card is the foot miss Lin Guard. But this Lin Guard is an upgraded version of his card with better finishing, better composure, very good agility and balance on the ball. He is 3-star, 3-star, so you will notice that. And he is 5'8", so you will notice that as well. But on the ball, whenever he's got it, he's going to play very well for you. His dribbling is going to be fantastic because he has the high 90s in the areas that really, or the low 90s in the areas that really matter in terms of whether or not a player is going to dribble really well or dribble really poorly. So he looks like a fantastic card to use. His passing stats aren't even that bad either, with 85 short passes and 74 long passes, 82 crossing, 84 vision. Not bad at all to have in your squad. His work rates are high work rates, so if you want to use him as a center mid, you could do that because defensively he will also offer you that extra defensive presence with the pace if you really need him to be there. Next up, we have Paulinho. Paulinho is somewhat of a meta player, so he actually would be a decent center mid to have because he actually has defensive stats. And I always tell you guys that when it comes to these types of cards, if you're going to be playing them as a midfielder of any sorts, they're always going to need the defensive stats as well as the physical stats and as well as somewhat of pace. So if you give this card a shadow card, his acceleration and sprint speed will increase. Not, I wouldn't say as significantly as the game says it does, but it would increase by a little bit. And then you would have more defensive, more actual defensive stats so that your players would do those B tackles and X tackles by themselves. Because as you guys know, defensive AI is very consistent. Well, not consistent. It's very overpowered because they actually do the tackles themselves. And if you increase those stats, they'll do it more. They'll do it with a higher frequency, right? Agility being 77 and balance being 70 while being 5'10 isn't terrible, but it's not ideal. As a center mid, it's not a bad thing to have. He does have good finishing and 80 finishing with 87 composure, as well as having 88 shot power and 85 long shots, which is quite nice to have if you think about it. He also does have 89 short passing and 84 long passing, so his passing stats in general are going to be very good. His free kicks in general aren't very good, and that goes to show with his base card. That's why it's decreased significantly, because the passing stat is definitely pretty good with 89 short passes and 84 long passes. So this card is definitely worth putting into a team because he actually has the pace, defensive stats, and the physical stats to make up for everything else in the shooting, passing, and dribbling. Because most midfielders, if you actually look at their card, they already have good shooting, passing, and dribbling. The only thing that they're really missing with their cards is mostly just the defensive stats, i.e., for example, a Pogba, right? Pogba doesn't have any defensive stats, and that could present to be a problem at times. Iniesta is a typical player that you would put in your team if you want to have fun. His dribbling is going to be pretty decent. His passing is going to be fantastic, obviously. But other than that, he doesn't really offer you much in the team. His long shots aren't crazy good. It's 76, so it's not terrible. If you give him a hunter card, if you guys believe in what this tells you, then it would increase it by that much. But I genuinely don't think it increases by this much. But no defensive stats as a center mid, playing as a left center mid or right center mid, so I wouldn't necessarily use him in a team if it was based off of anything like that. And in regards to the dribbling, of course, he's going to play very well in the dribbling and the passing only, but everything else he's going to be very inconsistent in. Quaresma, my favorite player in real life. They didn't really touch his finishing, I don't think, by that much. They only increased it by 1. So in terms of significant stat increases, the passing is somewhat increased at a decent rate. His dribbling you won't notice at all. And his, I don't know if this is a different position. Okay, so because this is a left mid position, that's why it would kind of be worth getting the card, because it's either you pick this one or you pick this one, right? Because the passing being increased by 3, you'll notice it a little bit, but not that much. But every other stat with heading accuracy being a plus 11 and stuff, you really won't notice those few features that he has because it's already significantly low. 37 interceptions, 15 marking, 26 dying tackles. If you're going to be using him anywhere in the midfield role, he's not really going to be ideal for you. But if you are going to be using him out on the wings, he's going to play pretty decently for you. He's not going to have the sprint speed to outrun people, but he will have the acceleration to dribble really nicely around your opponent's team for sure. Alaba, I think this is the first variation of Alaba this year other than the center mid card. So this is actually a left wing back card. So the increases that they do on the card are quite significant in my opinion, especially in the shooting department. But defensively, he's pretty much going to feel the same for you in the ones department. Increasing his acceleration and sprint speed was a big one, giving him 88 and 88, although very, very minuscule, but still a little bit noticeable. But the +1s on stats that are already pretty good, you're really, really not going to notice, except for the shooting. Instead of it being 68, now it's going to be, instead of it being 63, now it's going to be 68. So that's definitely going to be more ideal to have if you're going to have your fullback, you know, basically pushing forward from the fullback position, or if you tell him to stay back while attacking, you want to pop in those long shots because he doesn't have 89 long shots and 89 shot power, then he can do that for you as well. So brilliant card to have. Definitely going to be a meta player. 270k sounds about right for his card, and so on and so forth. Miranda has a good card. And the reason why his physical is so low is because of his stamina. So stamina you will notice a little bit on your center backs, but not that much. I have used a Miranda in the game, and I'm not a huge fan of his, and I can see his agility, balance, acceleration, and sprint speed is a little bit off. If his acceleration was 75 and his sprint speed was like 70, I feel like he would play a little bit better in the team. But because his agility, balance, acceleration, sprint speed have a misbalance there together, he's not going to really perform that well, but he's going to be a very good center back to use if you want to have fun with a Calcio A team, because he's Brazilian. You could put Cancelo in the team as a right back. You could put anybody Brazilian or Portuguese as a center mid. So there's a lot you can do with the team for you to have fun with. So now we have Kyle Walker here. So Kyle Walker is a player that you're probably going to be seeing a lot of people using. Now, if you actually look at Kyle Walker's card, he's the type of center back with 86 acceleration, 94 sprint speed, while being 7 foot, or not 7 foot, 71 agility with 73 balance, right? While being 6 foot is very nice to have for a center back, right? He has 86 jumping, right? Which is pretty decent to have. It's not too bad, especially since he's 6 foot tall. Now, the thing about Kyle Walker is that he's a very aggressive type of defender. So if you're going to be using him as an actual center back, you're gonna have to understand that he's going to play essentially something similar to someone like Sergio Ramos with that high medium work rates, that really aggressive style defender that pushes up and tries to aggressively intercept the ball. There's actually an instruction that you use on center backs where you can aggressively intercept the ball back. If you use that instruction in particular, you can actually see that Kyle Walker will do that quite often, especially since he has 81 interception, which isn't great, but it's not bad. It's not like amazing like some center backs have. But if you give him a shadow card, right, you're only going to increase his acceleration, which is very important for defending so you can move left and right properly. And then you're also going to already notice the 88 sliding tackle and standing tackle and the 87 sliding tackle with his defensive stats. So he looks like a fantastic card to use in the game. We have Kasper Schmeichel. Any goalkeeper for me in FIFA that doesn't have the leg save trait isn't really necessarily worth getting, but with Kasper Schmeichel, he does have pretty decent stats. If you're a Leicester City fan or you want to make some sort of Danish team in your squad, you can put him in there and he would be a pretty decent goalkeeper to have. But with any goalkeeper that doesn't have the leg save trait, is a goalie that I wouldn't necessarily use for my own teams. We have Delit here. I can never really say his name. He does have other informed variations of this card, and this card actually looks like a fantastic card. His agility and balance can be really poor for 6'2", but it's definitely the type of card that you need to try out in game because defensively and physically, he looks like an absolute monster. So definitely a worth trying out this card in your team to see how he would play for sure. We also have Kolasinac here. So in terms of left backs from the EPL, there aren't really that many that are that great. There's like Alonso and stuff, but not really that many that are too good. Now, with Kolasinac, you'll notice he has 76 interceptions. It'll be very noticeable in game that he doesn't really intercept the ball that often. But if you give this card a shadow card, it wouldn't necessarily be a bad card to have on the sides because his acceleration would be significantly better. And then if his acceleration is better, you also have really good sprint speed. He'll move left and right decently because he is also 60 agility and 64 balance, so it's not that great to have while being 6 foot. But he's going to be the type of card that will definitely put in a shift for you in your team because he does have 88 stamina, so 88 stamina is quite decent to have. Any other relevant players here? I would say Layun and Abubakar are probably the only ones. Abubakar being a cam is a nice card to get for sure because he has the physical attributes. His finishing is quite nice with 83 and 84. You can use this card up top with Suarez from Porto, so this one. This card right here, and it would be really fun to use these two cards because they're both from the Liga NOS. So if you're a Porto fan or you're a Liga NOS fan, it'd be definitely nice to have both those cards in the team because if you actually look at his passing stats for a cam, he wouldn't be that bad because his balance is very poor, which is very noticeable because he's 6 foot. It's actually very noticeable on his card. His passing is quite nice. 87 short passing, 8 long passing isn't bad at all to have, especially with the physical stats. Although he doesn't have the weak foot, definitely a card that is worth picking up and trying out. Layun is a card that you would probably use in your team if you're being super defensive oriented. So if you just want a card that you could probably, switch to a center mid role in your team because of high work rates and a 5-star weak foot with decent defensive stats. If you want to put him as a center mid player, when you obviously before the game starts, you would start him off as a right wing, but then when the game starts, you would switch around and put him as a center mid on the right center mid side or the left center mid side. So pretty decent cards in this team of the week. I would say the rest of these cards are kind of irrelevant. Not many cards that are too crazy. I don't know if some of you guys like using the MLS cards, but this team of the week is definitely a good team of the week. If you do have ultimate team of the week packs, it's definitely going to be worth opening the packs for this week because you could honestly get any of those players, and even if you get like Schmeichel or Paulinho or James or Lin Guards or Kolasinac or Abubakar, you've got some pretty good selections this week. So not a bad team of the week for anybody who hit anywhere from the elite stages or top 100. But that's pretty much going to do it for the video today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you guys did, please drop a thumbs up on it. But that's pretty much going to... But that's pretty much going to do it for the video today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you guys did, please drop a thumbs up on it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.